Let's try that again. Good evening, Danville. Alan Shields here, Chief of Police for the town of Danville. And we are 10-8 in service to all of you, which means we're here to make people's lives better by safeguarding the lives, rights, and property of everyone we serve. We've got a lot on the plate today. I appreciate all of you allowing us to take a week off. We had a council meeting at the same time last week. We decided not to do two streams at the same time and wanted to make sure that people could attend the council meeting and hear what they had to say. And that meeting was adjusted due to the election the day prior. They didn't want to have the council meeting on the same night as the election. So I appreciate you letting us take a week off. That means we're going to have 2 weeks worth of crime, 2 weeks worth of accidents, and we're going to cover a lot of material today. And we'll try to get through it, but as always, this is a live show, which means throw your questions in the chat. I will do my best to attempt to answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll let you know why I can't answer them. And then if it's something I need to do some research on, I'll answer it later on in the chat. We've got some ways to engage. And one of the things that we want to talk about, we really are trying to highlight, is the town's move over this, since incorporation really, but the latest move for roadway safety is our local roadway safety plan. And this is something where you can contribute to how safe the roads are. There's a link in the description. You can pinpoint an area and you can tell us exactly what the problem is in that area. And even if you have a recommended solution. One example that I gave quite a few weeks ago was a case where there is an area where there's congestion with vehicles and pedestrians downtown. And I highlighted and said that this is a potential hazard. And what that'll do is that will allow all of that data from all of you to go to our transportation manager and our consultant, and it'll allow them to come up with a good plan and a strategy for how we want to start resolving some of the traffic issues and further drive our accident rate down. All right. If you'd like to engage with us, we have a good opportunity at Coffee with the Cops again this Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. And we're going to be at Starbucks Coffee, and that's June 17th. But this will be our last push for a Special Olympics fundraiser. So if you want to donate, there is a link in the description. Next week, we are doing the torch run. So you'll see us run the torch through downtown towards San Ramon, and we'll be passing the torch off to them. And then we'll be helping with the opening games as well later on in the week. So this is a good opportunity. That money goes directly to our Special Olympics athletes and provides them the opportunity to compete, but it also provides them well check and wellness appointments as well. All right. One more thing, and this is from our coordinator, Lindsay Ortiz, and she wanted me to make sure from now until the end of July that I highlight that this is the opportunity to sign up for National Night Out. This is a yearly event. This year it'll be on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022, and it will be a great event. I was actually welcomed and surprised that we had so many this last year when we held it. People seem to come out of COVID and say, let's get together, and that is great. And this is less an event about the police department, is more event about you and your neighbors. This is a great opportunity to hold an event, invite some people over, and really get to know your neighbors. If you think about it, in the last 2 or 3 years with COVID, we've probably had some new neighbors move in, and it'd be nice to put names to faces, to houses, so to speak. And then what we'll do is we'll come by and we'll bring like the cars and our staff, and we usually have some of the elected. So it's a good opportunity. If you want to provide some feedback to us, you can do that. But it's a good way for all of us to engage and for you to get to know your neighbors. I will say this. If you want this to be successful, if you're one of those that is organizing this event, just throw some food down, some burgers and hot dogs, we've seen the whole gamut. And I'll say that when you advertise that you're going to have food at your event, you will get a lot of neighbors coming. Even if you do a potluck, we've seen those be very successful as well. So lots of ways to engage. There is a link in the description, or actually I take it back. Lindsay's email address is in the description, and she will help you sign up on the National Night Out website and then also register with us so that we know to come out and say hi. So good opportunities come up. All right, let's, one more thing before we move on to the community crime map. You notice this over my shoulder? So about, with the way things work, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, we ordered more of these radar signs. If you've ever noticed in town, we've got 2 different types. We've got fixed ones that those are permanent, stationary, and in a pole. And they have the little solar panel, so they're there all the time. And our good friend upstairs, Andy Dillard, who's our transportation manager, has been sinking more of those in the ground, and we've been seeing a positive effect with those. You've also seen around town, we've used those trailers, and those are where we kind of spot check and we move them around. And we've got several locations on our regular rotation, and we only had 2 trailers. And frankly, trailers are a little bit difficult to deploy because we have to do so in a way that doesn't block traffic. We can't put them in no parking signs. So if you think about it, all of Camino Tasajara is off limits to our radar trailers unless we can find some public property that's on the side. With these, what they'll allow us to do is find a streetlight pole, and it will allow us to affix them to that. So these will take the place for us of our radar trailers. We had 2 radar trailers. We're going to move to 4 of these. So we hope to have a greater frequency of rotation with our radar signs as well. All right, so let's move on to the blotter. We're going to cover a couple of weeks, but as always, if you want to know what's going on in your community, you can go to communitycrimemap.com. You can also get information on 290 registrants on there as well. And you can set up an alert in your area so that if there is new data that's uploaded, and it gets uploaded several times a day, if there is new data that's uploaded, you can get an alert right to your email address. All right, so let's look at the first week. Oh, am I freezing up here? Here, let's try a plug and unplug. And I want to let whoever it know that I did switch computers to see if I could make sure that this was going to work for us. That's not good at all. All right, thanks for your patience. I apologize. I'm going to try to do the plug replug one more time. This is tech support on the fly right here. All right. First week we're looking at is May 30th through June 5th. And in that week, we had no violent crimes. We did have 1 burglary, 5 thefts, and we had 1 collision. The catalytic converter on May 30th, catalytic converter was stolen from Fountain Springs Circle. On May 30th, we also had a miscellaneous property that was taken from a locked vehicle on Valley Creek Lane. And then there was a business that had been closed, and over a period of several days, there was property that was taken from the business there. We did have another one where someone in a private street, now these are streets that aren't managed by the town, they're managed by individual homeowners, and they had a stop sign there, and that stop sign was stolen. And then there was unfortunately on the first, there was also a theft of a purse from a restaurant, and this was an employee's purse that they had left in an area, and a patron had taken that. The business has good cameras, and what we're doing is we're actually tracking that back, and we do have some leads on that, so we hope to have that one resolved. Oh, see if it's going to work. That's not good. All right, this is exciting watching tech service on the fly, right? All right, let's see if I can get this one back. All right. Okay, and then on the June 5th, we had a theft of a flag from a porch on Fawn Place. On June 6th, so this is the week of June 6th, this was last week, June 6th through the 22nd, there were really 2 days with crime, and that was it. But there was a lot of crime on those 2 days. We had 1 burglary, this one being a residential burglary, which I would like to highlight, 5 thefts and 1 vehicle theft, and then we had 2 injury collisions and 2 hit and runs. On the 6th, we had a theft of sunglasses and cash from a locked vehicle on Brookside, so the owner did a good job keeping their vehicle locked. Then there was also a theft of a backpack from a locked vehicle at the Black Bear parking lot, and then a petty theft of energy drinks from Smart and Final. On the 10th, we had a vehicle that was stolen from the Rose Garden parking lot that was later recovered down in Pleasanton. We had a purse that was stolen from Pete's Brass Rail and Car Wash, and then property stolen from a home on Dolphin. And that's the one I'd like to highlight. But prior to highlighting that one, there was a theft of yard flags on Cameo. So here's a good example. We didn't respond to a report of a burglary at this home. Oftentimes we'll get a call and the report will come in, hey, I just came home from dinner and my house was broken into. Just came back from vacation, my house was broken into. In this case, the person had an alarm, the alarm was triggered, and it triggered a response from police. We get there, we notice that the rear slider's been shattered, and we search the house. We don't find anybody, but we at least have a very definitive time as to when the crime occurred. And also, I would like to think that since the alarm went off, that it probably scared these people away and kept them in that home for as little time as possible. And so kudos to the homeowner on this one. Just a great job of, when they left the home, making sure that they had their home protected with an alarm. And that allows us to then go back and search the area for neighborhood cameras, people with front door cameras, with driveway cameras, and then use that information in our camera system as well. All right. I think this is going to turn into an everyday thing here. All right, let's see if I can get this back up. Okay. Okay. So on the collisions, the one fatal collision was out east on Camino Sahara and Wood Ranch Road, and that was on June 2nd. And then the following week, we had a couple more collisions in our downtown area. I would like to talk about the fatal traffic collision, but please, I'm asking for a generous amount of patience that I can't release details on the collision. When we get major injury collisions, and what I'd like to do is say what we know first, that a collision occurred. It was between a car and a person, and the person passed away. What we do on major accidents that involved great bodily injury or death, we have a specialized team that comes out. The acronym is IMPACT, and it's a major incident response team that goes out and investigates these collisions. They're very, very complex investigations, and unfortunately, it takes a little bit of time to work through the collision and the analysis to determine the cause of the collision. And I know that if I look online, there's a lot of speculation as to what the cause of the collision is, but I want you, and I'm trying to reassure all of you, that you know that your police department, we may come to preliminary conclusions and we may see evidence that tells us one thing, but we do not put blinders on. We do not close our minds. We continue with open minds, and we try to look at every piece of evidence we can, and we wait until the end to make a determination or an opinion as to what the cause of the collision was. Initially, some of the steps you'll see us in a major collision. You'll see us close roads. We'll define the area of the collision. We will we'll use complex equipment to take measurements, very specific measurements. And we do it on not just 2 planes, but we actually do it on 3 planes at times so that we can determine slope and things like that. But it's important that we do a lot of the initial scene work first. So we will do the interviews, we will do the diagramming, we will make sure that we mark where everything is. If some of you are aware, if you looked on Facebook, you saw that we actually, in Nixle, we actually closed the road down a second time because we wanted to get better pictures in the daylight so that we could better document what we had seen. There's a lot of technical analysis that goes on through the coroner's office and the laboratory. Should there be any reason to check blood or check specific evidence that's left at the scene, there are technical analysis that may occur in these major collisions, and those often take several weeks to complete. In major collisions, if there's a couple of cars or a car and a bike or other items, we're going to have experts analyze those. So if it's a vehicle, we're going to have an expert go through that vehicle to determine if there's anything mechanically wrong with the vehicle. We may actually even download computers. Cars have computers. And we may download those computers to determine if there's valuable evidence on those computers that can tell us how fast the car was going, devices connected to it, if brakes were hit, blinkers were on, those sort of things. So lots of valuable information that may be obtained in a vehicle. And then when all of that is done, what our investigators will do is they will look at the report, they will look at all that data, and they will analyze the collision to determine what happened. And then what they'll do is they will make a determination as to the cause of the collision. And should that cause be a criminal act, then what we do is we will take that case and we would forward a case to the DA's office for review for prosecution. And the DA has the opportunity to review that case and make some sort of a determination on whether or not they would choose to prosecute or not. So again, that is how, in a very short term, that is how we handle major injury or fatal collisions. And that's why when we release information, we don't have much to release because we don't want to release poor or inaccurate information. And the other thing is we'll never release information ahead of what we've told the family. If you're a family member that has suffered a loss as a result of an accident like this, we believe that we're acting on your behalf. We are your investigators, and it's very important that you are the first person that hears information, and you should hear it from us. It shouldn't come from rumors or online or assumptions or things like that. So it's very important that we work diligently and hard on behalf of that family that's involved in that so that we can provide them the clearest picture as to what happened. All right, before we move on to the next hopeful slide, I want to go to the chat and see if there's any questions in the chat. Okay, it says Chief, Larry Henderson says, Chief, can you provide any details regarding the car in the creek near Sycamore Valley Road and Morning Home? Larry, that's news to me. If you can maybe throw, is it actually still in there? And I'm going to apologize. That should be something significant enough that I should actually know about it. So I apologize. And if I don't have an answer prior to the end of the show, I'll make sure I research it and I will put that in the chat. All right. I do want to see let me see if I can get this one slide to come up real quick. It is so this is from our annual report from this year, and I saw some information online that said people were saying that the streets were much less safe decades ago, and I wanted to put this 20-year look up there. This is from 2002, and I don't expect you to read the numbers at the bottom, but just look at the trend lines. The number on the top, the blue line, is the total reported collisions. The orange line are those that we write reports for. You can see that they pretty much track, although there's a gap, they pretty much track as a trend with one another. The first year in this 20-year look back is 2002. The last year is 2021, and this is what we reported in the annual report, and that can be found on our Chiefs page on our website. But if you look, it was, I think we had 480, 450, 466, 488 collisions, and over the last 3 years, we had 320 in 2019, 200 in 2020, and 232 in 2021. So you can see the collision rate in town is way down. That doesn't mean that we don't continue to try to work and make those collisions less hazardous. So in other words, if we can reduce the volume of injury collisions and fatal collisions, we want to do that. And then we also want to reduce the overall number of collisions. And frankly, that trend line, I've said this over and over again, that trend line has a lot less to do with your police department and more to do with your transportation engineering department and all of you. I admit I drive on the roads and sometimes I see poor driving, but the majority of the time I see good driving. And some examples of that, when we're at Iron Horse Trail crossings, I'll see cars pull up and they slow down, even though no one's there. They slow down, they're looking both ways. They have no obligation to slow down or stop. But they slow down, they look both ways, and then they proceed. And sometimes you'll see the wave game where someone's saying, no, you go, and no, you go. And so I see a lot of good driving. We do see poor driving, but we believe that frankly, of the 3 E's, enforcement, education, and engineering is tops. If we can design and build these roads or redesign the roads that we were given when the town incorporated, that we will have a great deal of success using engineering solutions. Second best is frankly having people that choose to follow the rules of the roads, that choose not to have phones in their hands and that sort of thing, that choose to stop at stop signs, that choose to make good decisions. And frankly, for the most part, most of you do very, very, very well at that. And that's why our rate is so low. I know I've talked about this a few weeks back that we had submitted for a grant several months ago, 2 months ago, through the Office of Traffic Safety to get actually some reconstruction equipment. It's a LiDAR device that would actually map out a scene for us. And we were rejected because our collision rate was too low. We didn't meet the requirement to have advanced equipment here. That doesn't mean that we don't go out and work and do the enforcement end of it. But so again, engineering is tops and number one. Education is number two. The enforcement is our spot check. That's where you'll see the cops out on Camino Tasajara writing sites. You'll see them down in Diablo Road in our downtown. And you'll see them in those two locations because we know those are the most frequent locations where we're going to see either the bulk of our collisions or major collisions. In other words, collisions that have injuries or fatalities associated with them. As far as fatalities, I didn't put it on the chart here because the chart would be very flat with a blip, very flat with a blip. We average about one fatal collision every 2 to 3 years. We don't get very many in town. We average them about every 2 to 3 years. All right. So that is that. Let me look and see if we have any other questions in the chat. Okay, Larry. Oh, so Friday. Okay, so I'll check that Friday. So Larry is following up on his question about the car in the creek near Sycamore Road, morning home. It's around 9 p.m. Vehicle westbound on Ceremon. Several emergency vehicles, including fire, police, and ambulance. Okay, I'll check back on our logs, and I will put that in the chat when we're done. Thanks for clearing up the time, because otherwise I would have had to look it over a long period of time. And Tina says, no questions, just a thank you for supporting Ceremon Valley High School grad night. Tina, that was a pleasure. We really enjoyed being out there for that, and we also enjoyed all the graduations. Normally, what you'll see is the police officers, and we'll be out there for our high school graduations. Those are very big events, lots of people, lots of traffic. And so you'll see us out there for those. This year, the school district invited us and said we would feel comfortable if you would come out to our middle school graduations as well. And so we were out at all the middle school graduations. I actually had to cancel another appointment, a speaking appointment down in Ceremon, to come and hang out at our middle school graduations. But it was great to see, and we're always happy to participate. I kind of have this running joke that we don't tend to invite ourselves to parties. Like nobody wants the cops inviting themselves into someone's living room. But if you invite us to the party, we'd like to come and hang out and enjoy some time with you and engage and see how we can make the community better. So they extended the invitation, we accepted, and we love to be out there. All right. So I do have a final thought, and I'm sure this will work because it's not a PowerPoint thing. So we'll get this going. But when we shut the road down for that fatal collision, the first thing that we did was we put it out on Nixle. And so those people that have Nixle, that have signed up for Nixle, would know that there was police activity in the area of Camino Tasajara and along Camino Tasajara there, and they would know to stay clear. And they would know what the activity was. If we were maybe chasing someone had ran away from a car chase or something like that, we would say what that is. Like, hey, we're chasing a suspect from a stolen vehicle. So it'll give you an idea of what may be happening right now in your neighborhood, why you might see a helicopter up, why there's lots of cop cars, why there's cops, moving about. If we're doing evacuations, we're going to use Nixle, but we're also going to use our community warning system. And so if there's two things I would ask you to do at the end of this, podcast, is sign up for Nixle. That's super easy. And then the second thing is click on the CWS alerts icon down below and make sure you sign up. So I'll show you how to sign up for Nixle here. Made a quick video. As long as this video is, which it's really short, that's actually all the time it takes to do this. So all you have to do is open up your messaging app. Like if you're going to send a text message to someone, type in 888-777, 888-777, and then type any zip code that you want to monitor and you want to receive notifications on. As soon as you type that in and press send, give it a few seconds, and then it will send you a response saying you have been signed up. Once you get that response, anytime a law enforcement agency or an emergency agency like fire, if they have to put information out that, hey, there's a hazard here, there's an evacuation, avoid the area, we'll put it out through Nixle if they subscribe to it. I'll tell you that in the Ceremon Valley area, Ceremon, Danville, and Ceremon Fire, we all subscribe to it. You can actually go online, and there is a link in the description. You can go online, and you can check your Nixle account, and you actually sign up for emails and things like that. And then you can tailor it a little bit better as far as how you want alerts. Do you want some alerts to a text and some to an email? But if you just want the basic sign up, just send a text message. And me personally, I have all the the 2 Danville zip codes, the Alamo zip codes, Diablo. I've got San Ramon, and where I have family members that live or work, I include those areas as well. So I have a lot of zip codes signed up for my account. And so I tend to get a fair amount of alerts, but even so, I probably get maybe 2 a week. I just don't get that many because we don't use it. We try not to put so much information out that you go information blind and start to ignore it. So we don't do too much of that. So Mr. Dang says, please repeat the sign up process. And although this show is usually very short, that video is shorter, so I can actually play it again because it is that short. Open up a text message string, and as though you were going to send a text message to a friend and you would put their phone number in there, just put 888-777, 888-777 in the 2 line, and then put a zip code. So for this example, I put 94526 in the message block, press send, and you'll automatically be signed up to receive those alerts. And then you can add 94506 in there, 94507, 9458382, all of those zip codes. You can load them in there, and you do them one at a time, press send, and then it will sign you up for each one of those zip codes. Okay, I'm going to check the chat real quick and see if there's any questions here. Diane says, Nixle is great. Even though I no longer live in the area, I still receive the updates. Diane, thanks for joining us on the show tonight. I hope you're enjoying your new area there. So, and Mr. Dang, you said, please repeat the sign up. We repeated it, but also I'll remind you, in the description for the show, there's actually the instructions on how to sign up for Nixle. And you can actually click the nixle.com button or the URL and be taken right to the site. And you can also click the CWS Alerts URL and be taken directly to that site. And there's instructions on how to sign up there as well. So Christine Schwartz says, is 888-777 the same in all states? So it is a national program, and I actually believe it's international. I think there's this is a private company that reaches out to communities and provides this service or the product. So it's not a government-run site. It's a private company that provides that service for a fee. And so depending on the area you're in, and not all agencies do it. So what I would suggest is, if you are not in Danville, Alamo, San Ramon, what I would suggest is that you reach out to your local agency. So we can just pick one at random. If it was San Pablo, like say you work in San Pablo, go to the San Pablo Police Department website, and there usually will be a button or some guidance on how to stay connected and how to receive alerts. I'll tell you that for Contra Costa County, all agencies in the county will also use CWS alerts. So if there is a major incident in the county, you will be alerted via CWS alerts. And that's why that one's so important. It's utilized less than Nixle. I'm not going to put out a community warning system alert because we've closed the road for a couple hours. If there's a fire that's moving in, I'm going to put out a CWS alerts. If there's a large gas line leak, we're going to put out a CWS alert. We're not going to put it down for a tree that's fallen in the road. But we will do a Nixle because we think that all of you, and the feedback that we're getting from all of you, is that you want to know so that you can avoid the area. And so that's what we use Nixle for. We use Nixle a little more broadly than we do CWS alerts. All right. And then also I want to remind everybody, and we've touched on it in our series on emergency preparedness, that the FEMA All Hazards Guide, there is a link in the description. And our Wildfire Guide, there's also a link in the description for that. So if you want to look for 2 things on how to prepare, you can do that and see how you can better prepare and respond should something happen. And Christine Schwartz has a good, so she says, thank you so much. 911 text ? And that is a program that is offered in the county. So the sheriff's office, the areas that are covered by the sheriff's office, I believe San Ramon Police has it, and I will double check that because I know some people from San Ramon watch the show. But areas covered by the sheriff has text to 911. What we would say, though, is call if you can, text if you can't. And the reason is our dispatchers can work through information quicker if they're communicating verbally back and forth versus text. But text will work. So we would say, call if you can, text if you can't. And then Diane says, I just typed in my new zip code and did receive the reply. So yes, for Nevada. So great job. So that is good. And what I would encourage you, Diane, to do is include all of the other zip codes kind of around you and where you may visit in your kind of metro area. Because sometimes what agencies will do, if you get regional agencies like East Bay Regional Parks, I believe uses Nixle as well, they're gonna pinpoint, because East Bay Regional Parks may not want to blast out something that's happened on the Iron Horse Trail in Danville to all of East Bay Regional Parks area. They may just put it on that one area where it's affected. And so if you're wanting to make sure you get it for all of the areas that you may be, you might want to make sure to just put them all in there. And then, of course, if you have family members at work in other areas, you might want to include those as well. All right. So I'm going to not try to fiddle with these slides again, but we do have ways of connecting, and we will be out in the public. So June 17th, that's this Friday, we're going to be out at Starbucks. We're going to be at the one right by San Ramon Valley High School, and it's at 1 Railroad Avenue, and we'll be there from about 8:30 to 10:30. So if you want to come out and say hi, bring the kiddos over, come on out. We've been bringing out little treats for the kids, little giveaways, little sponge balls and those sort of things. So if you want to do that, that would be great. If you are a community member that drives community engagement within your group, we'd encourage you to sign up for National Night Out. It's a good way to stay connected with your community. It's August 2nd, and it's in the evening hours because it's on a Tuesday. We don't expect anybody to take off work. But if you want to make it enjoyable, throw out some food, call us or email Lindsay Ortiz. And again, her email and her phone number is in the description below. And we'll make sure that we come out there. We take our list and we provide it to the fire department. And this is hard for me to actually say, but as much as I love police and I bleed blue, seeing the fire truck come by is pretty darn cool. And so we love co-engaging with the fire department, having them out there. They're a great partner in this. And so we share our list with them. So throw a fun barbecue, invite us. We'll give the list to fire. I'm sure they'll come by as well. And they'd be happy to see everybody. And also, if you want to contribute to Safe Roads, make sure that you click on the link below and highlight where you feel there are issues in town on our local roadway safety plan. All right, I'm going to check the chat one more time. All right, doesn't look like there's anything new. So we are 10:10, which means we're off duty, but we're 10:08, which means we're always in service to all of you. Thank you, and have a good night.